let's get to the games. And let's start with the Sunday night game, even though it was the only game. How about this, Miles? The only game so far in week 4 of the 15 that have been played that was not a one-score game in the fourth quarter at some point. Every other game was a one-score game at some point in the fourth quarter. Let's start with the one that wasn't. Because it was a statement for the Chiefs. Both teams coming off of losses in week 3. Chiefs had one of those everything that could go wrong did go wrong, and they still almost beat the Colts, which gives you an idea of how good the Chiefs are. When you have a disastrous day and you still almost win the game. They take care of business in Tampa Bay. And, you could feel it coming right out of the gates. Fumble on the opening kickoff. Chiefs get it, score a touchdown. And it's just one of those, it's not Tampa's night. It was the Chiefs' night. The Bucs kept trying, but they never could really get back into it. And it was Patrick Mahomes reminding us that for all the talk of Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, any other great quarterback you want to throw into that conversation, he's probably still the best in the NFL when he's 100% healthy.
It's kind of the LeBron James effect with Patrick Mahomes. You just expect it at a certain point because we've seen it since 2018, since he became a starter. And it's just play after play after play that Patrick Mahomes makes. And you just should not get tired of seeing him make tremendous plays. All right, we talk about Brady's longevity and his greatness. What you see with Patrick Mahomes on this play, 2nd and goal, where he's running around and he's making something happen and he stops and then he just kind of floats it into the end zone for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. There are not many players who have ever played the sport of football who can do what he did right there. So I've always loved watching Patrick Mahomes. I put this out there on Twitter. It reminded me last night, this particular play, of in 2018 when he was facing the San Francisco 49ers in week 3. Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt in that game, but there was a play in the second quarter where he's running around and he rolls to his right and then he finds somebody in the back of the end zone. And that's when I was like, oh my gosh, this dude is serious. And it's just been those same kinds of plays year after year after year. And I love watching Patrick Mahomes. It was very clear they were a team on a mission last night. And like you said, it was clear from jump.
I think that was a throw to Demarcus Robinson where he runs left, runs right, and does that sidearm rocket. Not just a sidearm, but it was a missile to Demarcus Robinson in the back of the end zone as Robinson was almost running out of bounds. I think that's the play. And he had so many of those in 2018. It was remarkable what we saw from him. And it does set a standard where you just expect it. You expect it all the time. And you get to a point where there's nothing that really amazes you. And then there's a play last night that reminds you this guy has in his bag of tricks things that we've never seen before from anyone. And I don't know what happens to defensive players when, and we talked about this last week, Chris Sims and I, when we were visiting the impact that Mahomes has had on the game and the way that young quarterbacks are throwing the ball from every arm angle and trying to emulate him, and there are no fundamentals. And his point is, hey, once you can do all the other stuff, then you can work that in. And as long as you can do it well, they'll let you keep doing it. If you're not doing it well, they're not going to let you do it. But he's got an element of unintended showmanship because he's not out there trying to be flashy. But there's something about the way that he moves, the way that he's operating in relation to everyone else that makes it inherently thrilling. And it's intangible, it's undefinable, but it's there. And that play last night that we showed a minute ago is the epitome of it. Because the whole time he's running around, you just sense something's going to happen, something crazy's going to happen, something crazy's going to happen, and then look at that, what the hell was that? And there is that sense of the way he plays. And I don't think he's doing it on purpose. It's just the way he is. And that's what makes it so special. And it makes you expect it in a given moment. But I think the defenses get kind of trapped in that, oh, shit, here it comes mindset as well. Because you see them just kind of, it's almost like they're the Washington Generals and he's the Harlem Globetrotters. Like they're playing along with this bit where he's going to do this crazy thing and throw a bucket full of confetti at the end of the day. Like, and there's nothing they can do about it.
Well, you look at that specific play that we're talking about there, and it's not like Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not in the middle of all these defenders, right? So it looks like Patrick Mahomes is getting to the line of scrimmage and he's going to try to dive into the end zone for a touchdown or something like that. But then he stops. Edwards-Helaire pops open, and then boom, the ball just gets there. It's just one of those things that you can't really anticipate as a defender. So yeah, it probably is like the word that you just said that we're not really supposed to say. Here it comes, and then boom, it's just like, well, wait a minute, what was I supposed to do? Any other quarterback, I've got that defended. How in the world does this happen? What is this? And I think it also shows just how not healthy he was playing against the Buccaneers in that 2020 Super Bowl. I mean, my goodness, he just has the movement, the fluidity of the movement that he was just not able to perform, right? And that way, when he had the toe injury, and also the offensive line was piss poor in that game as well. So, I mean, it's not like he was at 100%. Nobody's at 100% usually when you get to the Super Bowl, but I just feel like you get a healthy Patrick Mahomes, you get a good offensive line. This is the kind of thing that you can see against opponents.
I think it is funny how Myles, at an age where he actually is worried about continued employment, refrains from using the language that I use, but then breaks out a piss poor, which is good. I'm a bad influence, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of being a bad influence. Here's Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce from after the game last night talking about that crazy play that resulted in a touchdown to Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, I mean, first off, I missed the wide open touchdown like the play before, where I got like in between, like I want to lob it to him or just dotted on him. And so I was upset with myself there. And then we rolled out, and they did a good job of kind of coming upfield, not going on that dive play that we kind of always run with Burton. But I was able to use my speed to get a little bit of speed to get around the edge there. And then I was going to run for it, and they kind of flew around, and I realized I wasn't going to make it, and I saw Clyde, and so I just kind of flicked it up to him.
The NFL hasn't seen anything like Pat Mahomes, I promise you that. And you saw it today. He's the Houdini of our era, man. The guy just finds ways to make plays throughout the game. I mean, big-time third downs, big-time goal line plays, just willing our team into the end zone, willing our team to win, and that's our ultimate leader, man.
You made a great point, Myles, too, about the toe. That toe was so bad he had surgery on it 3 days after the Super Bowl. And even then, the highlight package that we've played many times from Super Bowl 55, what he tried to do to will the Chiefs back into that game, some of the throws he made that weren't caught, some of the best incompletions in league history that went off guys' face masks. He was doing everything he could. But you're right. He just lacked that extra little bit, that extra little edge that allowed him to do those things he does. And healthy with an offensive line that's better, couldn't have been a whole lot worse than it was that day against the Buccaneers. And it had to mean a lot to the guys who were on that Chiefs team because there's some turnover, but the most important guys are still there. The most important guy is still there. To go back to Tampa Bay against a team in that same building at night, same vibe, same feeling, and get the win, even though it doesn't wrest away the Super Bowl trophy from the Buccaneers, it lays the foundation for what the Chiefs are trying to do this year, which is go back and finally get their second Lombardi trophy.
Third.
Well, second under Mahomes.
Yeah.
I mean, if the Rams aren't going to count the one that they won in St. Louis, I'm not going to count the one from 1969.
No. I'm not going to let you do that either. They got two banners and they got two palm trees on their ring to represent the two Super Bowl trophies that they've won. All right. Don't do that. It's too early for that out here. All right, Mike, don't bring in the Rams to this conversation. We're talking about the Chiefs. And I would also say, before you start talking, so I don't get cut off again, here's the thing about this win last night. I thought that it would be more of the urgency that they felt from the week before with that Colts loss, where the Chiefs absolutely beat themselves. Look, the Colts are not a good football team. They showed that yesterday. They've been showing that all season long, I think. So when you lose that game, it felt to me like, yes, the Chiefs are going to come out with some urgency. They are going to show that last week really was an aberration. And obviously, they got the opening kickoff, right? They've caused a fumble on that, stole an extra possession, go up 7-0 within 2 plays. I mean, that tells you a lot about the way that this game is probably going to go. But then when they were talking after the game, it was like, yes, we did feel some of that stuff from losing that Super Bowl. So I thought it was interesting that even, a season and a half later, let's call it, year and a half later, whatever it is, there's still some of that, we really want some get back for that Super Bowl. And as you said, there's a lot of turnover, but the main guys, those key guys, the Mahomes of the world, right? The Travis Kelce's of the world, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he was there. Those guys still feel that they wanted something from that game. So it wasn't just the urgency that they felt from the Colts loss. It was an added element of losing that Super Bowl too.
And it was a perfect night, perfect week to have that game. Last year, the Sunday night Week 4 game was Brady back in New England. It just is a good stage in the season to find a game that has storylines and drama before we really start to get into the scrum that helps us figure out who's getting to the playoffs and who isn't. It was just a great game to have. And for the
Everybody's
Buccaneers,
healthy.
Right, exactly. And for the Buccaneers, as strong as they were defensively all year long, 41 points, the most allowed during Todd Bowles' time as defensive coordinator and now head coach. And they're going to have some soul searching to do. At least their offense was able to generate more than 20 points, but the defense really fell apart. And that was one of the big questions coming in. Hey, this defense could lock down the Chiefs. It's like, yeah, but you really haven't played a team with an offense like this. And that's always the challenge. It's easy to have a good defense when you're not facing Patrick Mahomes. Then you're facing Patrick Mahomes, and everything changes, and your defense faces the kind of stress and pressure that it rarely sees. And the good news for the Buccaneers is they won't see it again until the Super Bowl if both teams get there. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.